You didn't get the results you wanted from your OCD treatment because ERP doesn't work for most people. And I think you already knew that. Your body was telling you something was off the whole time you were doing the exposures. The feeling that this wasn't getting to it, that you were working so hard, but something underneath was still there. You were right. You just needed somebody to validate it with you and explain it to you. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm John Hawkins Jr. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and co-founder of Hawkins Counseling Center, and I've been working with OCD for almost 2 decades now. The approach I use is completely different from standard OCD treatments, and the results are different too. Let me show you why. Here's the problem with ERP. It makes no rational sense to me. Think about it. The client who's sitting in front of me has probably tried not to give in to the impulses thousands of times before they ever came to see me. They've white-knuckled it, they've pushed through, they've tried harder than most people try at anything. And the OCD is still there. So the idea of doing more of that in a structured setting is going to somehow resolve it now is mind-numbing to me. In my opinion, ERP is archaic and similar to bloodletting or leeching, and it doesn't account for what we know about the brain. ERP comes from CBT, and CBT, as much as it can help with some things, is incapable of resolving trauma. At best, it's a coping mechanism. It works from the top down, thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, but trauma doesn't live there, and neither does OCD. Here's what the neuroscience actually tells us. The theory of structural dissociation, which is the framework that I work from, shows us that trauma has to be processed from the bottom up, not the top down. What that means is the brainstem has to reorganize itself first, through body sensations, then emotions. Then and only then can you start to make sense of the experience. If you skip those first 2 steps and try to go straight to meaning making, which is what CBT does, you're working on the wrong level. Whatever we can't regulate, we disassociate. The OCD is a dissociative process. The brain found a way to manage what it couldn't integrate. You can't think your way out of a process that exists precisely because thinking wasn't enough. So what is OCD really? I don't see it as a disorder. I see it as a resource, a part of the personality that developed to protect another part of the personality that is holding unprocessed trauma. Something that got split off because it was too much for the nervous system to process at the time. So the O part said, okay, I'll step in, I'll help manage this. I'll create a system, I'll give us something to do with all this unbearable, painful energy. That's not a malfunction, that's the mind doing what it's designed to do, which is adapt. The problem is now that adaptation is running the show, and nobody ever talked to it. Nobody has ever actually asked it what it's actually afraid of. The first thing I tell all my clients with OCD is don't chase the current format of how the OCD is presenting itself. Ask that part, what's the ultimate fear if that were true? That question will lead you somewhere that ERP will never take you to. Now let me tell you what this actually looks like in a real session. I worked with someone, and I'll call him David for this video, who had intrusive thoughts about harming people that he loved. He was horrified by them. He's a very gentle person, and he had gone through 3 years of ERP therapy, and he was worse, not better. After getting him to be able to slow down some, I asked him if he could get curious about the part of him that's generating these thoughts. Not fight it, just get curious about it. Then something shifted. We asked this part of him, what are you actually afraid would happen if that came true? And we also asked it, what are you afraid would happen if you stopped doing this job? And underneath that, there was a terrified younger part of him that believed he was fundamentally dangerous and bad. Not because he was, but because of things that were done to him when he had no power. The OCD part was protecting him from ever having to feel what that younger part of him felt. When we worked with that, and we worked with what that part had been carrying, the OCD part began to soften. Not because we fought it, but because it finally didn't need to work so hard anymore. If you've been struggling with OCD and your treatment that you're experiencing right now just hasn't worked for you, I want you to know this: you weren't wrong about how you felt about the treatment. Your instinct that something was missing was accurate. You've probably been told that you need to try harder, that ERP just takes time, or that this is just how OCD works. None of that is true. There's a part of you that developed the OCD for a reason, and that part can be worked with, not fought, not tried to get extinguished, but worked with. Drop a comment below if any of this resonated. Just "this is me" is enough. I'm going to keep putting out videos on this topic that go deeper into all of this. And if you actually want help or want to work with us, the link is right below this video. And if you are one of the few people that has benefited from some form of CBT or ERP, I'm genuinely happy for you. I'm not here to disparage anyone. It's just been my personal experience that it has been completely ineffective or made things way worse for most of my clients prior to arriving here at our center. My name is Hawkins Jr. I put out new videos every week. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.